Now, how many of you have encountered a lunch thief? You come to work, you clock in, you put your lunch in the refrigerator. Now, mind you, this is a lunch that you prepared and you've been thinking about how good your lunch is for a change because you usually are busy running out the door and you might have to stop and get lunch on the way. But this time you've prepared a nice lunch for yourself. And so you put it in the refrigerator, and while you're doing your job at work, you've been thinking about how you're going to sneak a look peek when you get your 10 or 15-minute break, and then how you're going to enjoy this nice lunch on your lunch hour. But then, you go into, the break room, and you notice that, something's missing out of my lunch, and so you go, okay, maybe I forgot it. So you go back to work after your break. But then when lunchtime comes, you go to the refrigerator again, you placed it in the refrigerator because most jobs have, companies have an employee refrigerator to store their lunches. And you get in there and you're looking around for your lunch and you don't see your lunch. And you're going, what happened to my lunch? I know I put it in the refrigerator, and I know I came in here on my break time, and I thought something was wrong, but I was like, maybe they was just cleaning out the refrigerator because you saw a few containers on the counter and you thought, they just rearranging the refrigerator. And you still don't find your lunch. And you're looking in the refrigerator, you're looking in in the storage bins in the refrigerator, you look in to open up the freezer, and you start asking around, has anyone cleaned out the refrigerator? Has anyone saw a lunch that had my name on it? Or my lunch bag, everybody knows my lunch bag is orange, with a white stripe across it. And no one, no, I haven't seen it, no, I haven't seen. And guess what? That same lunch thief is sitting there saying they haven't seen it, but their tummy is full. They have eaten your lunch, but you don't know that yet. You don't know that the lunch thief that's sitting there saying, no, I haven't seen your lunch. No, I haven't even been in the refrigerator. Let me get up and go look in the refrigerator. They are acting so surprised, that lunch thief, because it's happened on my job, where the lunch thief kept taking people's fruit out they lunch. They'll eat somebody's banana they put in the refrigerator. And they were actually literally called out about stealing folks' lunches on my job. Can you believe that? So we know that there's always a lunch thief lurking. And if they could do a background check, or at least a lie detector test, because we got lunch thieves. Every job mainly has a lunch thief that goes and steals out people's lunches or steals the whole lunch. Some of them are bold to take the whole bag, including your nice lunch bag that you saved up and bought you a nice lunch bag, because there are some lunch bags out there that are just so nice, but they can be a little expensive. So, so the lunch thief just acts so surprised, just like you. No, man. No, girl, I haven't seen your lunch. No, I haven't even been in the refrigerator. This is my first time being in the break room. Knowing that they have already sneaked and spiked and stole your lunch or something out of your lunch. And so I remember a time that someone decided they were going to make a poop sandwich so that the lunch thief can stop stealing lunches. And this happened at a Home Depot. They made a poop sandwich and put it in the refrigerator. I don't know how they did it. You can just imagine how gross and disgusting that is and how unsanitary that is. But they made a poop sandwich, and the lunch thief got a big surprise. So now here we are talking about the lunch thief again. And so a co-worker spiked the sandwich so the lunch thief will stop stealing lunches. And it is quite frustrating for you to make your lunch and for someone to steal it, because a lot of us may be on a budget. We're trying to save money. Maybe we need to buy a new car, a new television, or maybe we need to get something that we actually need, or get something fixed around our home, or get some new tires. And so we are budgeting our money. We have stopped going to Starbucks. We have stopped stopping off at McDonald's or Harvey's or Carl's Jr.'s or Hardee's or wherever you may go, to grab a bite to eat for breakfast or whether it's lunch. But you decided decided I'm going to start bringing my lunch. I'm going to budget. I'm going to manage my money, a little better than I've been managing it. And I'm going to stop giving to the places that don't support our communities, don't support us, and that they just getting rich off me. So I need to get rich off myself, and I need to take that money I've been spending and put it aside. There's a lot of various reasons. Or maybe you just can't afford to eat out, or maybe it's just practical because your wife fixes your lunch, and left over from the dinner, and your children get the lunch, so you are participating with your children in deciding to take a lunch to work, brown bagging it. And it can be a lot of fun making your lunches. It can be a lot of fun, and they can be tasty, and you can prepare your food and know what's in it. So, however, this particular coworker decided that he was going to put a stop to it. So the lunch thief got a big surprise at work. Are you guys ready for the surprise of what he got? So before we get to that, I got to read some information for you. Then we'll get to it, right? So working at a large corporation, and that can happen, working at a large corporation, the pros and cons, there are some pros and cons, and so there may be many people using one refrigerator. They might need to have two refrigerators. And so your lunch may come up missing, and maybe by a mere mistake, oh, I grabbed the wrong bag. Now, if a person grabs the wrong bag, they are honest enough to come back and say, hey, you know what? I grabbed the wrong bag. Here your lunch is, put it back in the refrigerator. And they may even go and approach you and say, hey, man, I grabbed the wrong bag. I don't want you to think I was trying to steal that. Your lunch, or hey, Susie Q, or whoever. I just want you to know, in case somebody come and tell you, I grabbed the wrong bag, but I got mine, okay? Something like that. But people that steal lunches is not going to come and say, hey, I stole your lunch and I ate it because I just didn't have no money to buy my own lunch. I just didn't bring it. Because this one particular guy at my job, he actually just didn't bring his lunch. I think he was struggling financially or whatever the case may be. But you don't steal. There's no excuse for stealing. But people have excuses for stealing. They will tell you, if it was me and I need to feed my kids and this and that and I was hungry, people say a lot of things, which I don't agree with, because you shouldn't be stealing. Thou shalt not steal, one of the 10 commandments. But guess what? People do it. And so we're going to get into this. So working at a large corporation has its pros and cons. And so one of the major cons was becoming a huge issue among my coworkers. Someone was stealing lunches out of the refrigerator. Since we only had 30 minutes for lunch, and a lot of companies give you 2 10s and a 30-minute. It depends on where you work. Some counties was giving 15 and 20-minute breaks. So, and then you still get your lunch. So some places you get an hour, depending on if you've been management, if you're in management, but most companies will allow the 30-minute lunch, 2 10-minute 10s in an 8-hour shift. And if you're just working part-time, 4 hours, or something like that, or 6 hours, you may get 2 10s or 1 15-minute break. So it really depends, on how it's set up in your company, as far as lunchtime. And we have to abide by the labor laws, right? So since they only had 30 minutes for lunch, it was quite annoying, because you think about it. If your lunch is stolen, you're going to spend most of your lunch upset trying to find out where your lunch is, and you may miss eating, and then you're going to be hungry for the rest of your shift, and you might not even be a breakfast person. So now you have to go all day without eating. And if you didn't bring any money with you, things like that, they may not have a lunchroom on site, but most hospitals do. But corporations, maybe they have a snack machine, which is sky high, to go and put money in a vending machine. And now they even take credit cards. You have to be careful with that because of scammers, or skimmers, scammers that put skimmers. Yes, scammers that put skimmers on machines. So anyway, you're going to spend, like I just said, you will spend part of your time searching for another lunch. Usually you might have to go off somewhere if it's a fast food restaurant or a place close by, and you already know it's going to be packed full of people trying to get their lunch. So you will not be able to usually to do all of that in 30 minutes. So time and time again, lunches were being stolen out of the break room refrigerator. And they tried all sorts of things, from labeling their lunches to keeping an eye on the break room, to no avail. They just couldn't catch the lunch thief. And you might have an office that's close to the break room, and where you might be able to get up quickly and go check it out and go open the refrigerator door, right? And make sure the lunches are still in there. But one morning, one of the co-workers had finally had enough. When you have enough, you have enough. And you got to kind of try to control the emotions, even though you had enough of the foolishness, right, and enough of the theft. And so you see your fists are clenching up, and you're tensing up because you just said, I've had enough of the lunch thief. And you may not be saying it that way. You might be using some, some four-letter words, and and shut the front door, and and get away from the the knucking back door. You know what I'm saying? You had enough, and you clenched up, and you ready to go, and you have decided you're gonna fight fire with fire. And you see the flames coming out of your ears because you tired. You tired of folks taking your lunch, and you tired of folks taking other people's lunches because you all in it together now with your lunches being taken, right? So this particular person prepared 2 lunches and kept one in a cooler in her car. What a clever idea. You got a cooler, put some ice in, put your lunch, and keep it in your car. You might have to do that. Some folks keep their lunches in their car in one of them lunch bags that you might have paid a little pretty penny for, that will keep your lunch cool, hot things hot, cool things cool, like a thermos, So anyway, she placed the other lunch in the refrigerator, but the lunch she left in the break room refrigerator will be quite memorable to whoever the thief was. We get into that surprise, you guys. We get into that surprise, okay? So my friend, this is not my friend, but the friend, she said she's telling this story, and I'm just retelling the story, right? She laced her sandwich with not only a few sticks of chewing gum, but also made sure to use a lot of hot sauce on the sandwich. A lot of hot sauce, Tabasco sauce, Louisiana Frank's, depending on, and there's some hot sauce, some sauces out there that's extremely hot. I mean like chipotle hot, okay? And so next she placed a lovely lettuce leaf over the top of a slice of lunch meat and some cheese so that the thief wouldn't see the chewing gum or the hot sauce. How clever. Make it look like a nice little sandwich, right? So finally she added a bottle of water and some chips to mix to balance it. The surprise, surprise, surprise. And at lunchtime, my friend ran to her car to grab her real lunch, and they all sat down to dine. Can you nicely see that? Everybody sitting down, getting along, having lunchroom conversations. They nicely sitting down, dining, doing lunch hour. Because some companies, everybody go to lunch at the same time, and some organizations or companies, they don't. There's a few people who have lunch at the same time. They might work in different work areas or different departments, but they all share the same break room like we did. At my job, we shared the same break room, but we were in different departments, and so we are able to collaborate, and converse, and it's diverse. It's diverse because you work in one department, they work in another department, but you all got the same office, but you got different jobs, different departments, right? So you sitting down, everybody sitting down, dining and smiling, and suddenly one of the guys that work in the shipping department. Now, the shipping department probably wasn't even by their department, right? They came way from somewhere else, knowing that they could get away with stealing someone's lunch in another work area, right? They might even had to walk across the parking lot, go down some steps, take an elevator up, who knows? But they might have had to walk a ways to get over here to steal somebody's lunch. Shame on them, right? But anyway, they worked in the shipping department, ran into the break room with sweat rolling down their face. You see what I'm saying? They came afar, and then if you work in the shipping department, you might be sweating anyway because it's some manual labor, right? So he grabbed a paper cup from the water dispenser and began gulping copious amounts of water. Ha ha! See, my friend innocently inquired as to whether or not he was okay. Hey, are you okay? Is everything all right? And he said he was fine. It was just something he had eaten. We all held our laughter in until he left the break room. Can you imagine how they was laughing so hard after he left that break room? They was just in just tears of laughing, just probably tears rolling down their face. They was laughing so hard. So the next day, the man looked none the worse for fear. No one mentioned the lunch incident. Then at lunchtime, my coworker who had spiked the sandwich opened the refrigerator, and all lunches were present and accounted for. They was all present and accounted for. Ain't that something? Isn't that nice to open the refrigerator? Everything good. All the lunches is in there. Everything nice and neat. And we don't have a lunch thief no more. He got caught. He got caught. And it goes on to say, I worked for several years and we never had another lunch stolen. I had to laugh at my friend's creativity. I had worried for a moment that someone could become ill with such a sandwich. However, if you're stealing other people's food, this is the takeaway. If you're stealing other people's food, you should probably know what you're getting before you bite into anything. What do you think about that? I think that if you are stealing other people's food, you better be very careful because you don't know what they know. And some folks is going to get sick and tired. Maybe not even some folks. Many folks going to get sick and tired of you stealing their lunch and other people's lunches. And they going to come together. Somebody is going to do something. And that was the lunch thief. He got a big surprise at work. He come flying in the break room from the shipping department. He had to gulp down tons of water because he stole lunches and did not know what he was getting. He thought he was just going to get the same thing that he's always gotten with a belly full. He's nice, he's happy, he's fulfilled off of somebody else's lunch. And that just can't happen because they've obviously had to buy the stuff to make the lunch and they had to prepare their lunch. And you're over here stealing someone else's lunches. So all of you lunch thieves out there, whoever you are, because I've encountered it and you might have encountered it on your job and you might still be encountering. But all you lunch thieves, beware that they got your number and they going to make sure they give you a big surprise that you will not forget. It will be memorable. And you might be able to go and tell your children later on in life that you did wrong and you asked for forgiveness and repented, and that your children should never become a lunch thief because it is a big surprise that probably will not be in your favor after all. And on top of that, with the heat that he experienced, guess what? And the bubble gum, because he probably swallowed it, he probably had indigestion, he probably had, having to run to the bathroom because of the heat that got in his body, because everybody can't handle hot. Okay, and so you might wind up with some stomach pains and some cramps. I'm telling you, lunch thieves, if you're out there, you need to listen to this video. It's some good positive takeaways, but it's going to be some stuff that's going to hold you accountable for stealing other folks' lunches. I'm out.